I've had an old shutter hanging around for a while now, and I finally found the perfect project for it. To start this project, I need to level out the back of the shutter. I want to add some spindles to it, and right now there's this little ridge that I want to make even. These little thin tongue depressors should do the trick and fill in the space so that it's all level. To keep them securely in place, I want to cover one side with wood glue and then lay them onto the shutter. While that shutter glue is drying, I want to go ahead and start painting these 4 vintage spindles I had. I don't mind if the paint's a little thin in some areas, as I want it to look a little bit worn and aged. Now that the shutter's ready to work with, I want to give the pieces I just glued on a quick sanding to make sure there are no uneven or high spots. It's time to paint the shutter now, and I'm going to use the same paint I did with the spindles. Like the spindles, I'm not worried about covering the entire shutter. I'm okay with little bits of the wood peeking through here and there. With the shutter completely painted, I'm ready to attach the spindles to it. I'm using a high tack wood glue so that they stay in place quickly and securely while the glue is drying. This little table is perfect to the end of my couch, and I love when I can repurpose old items to make something new. I hope this has inspired you to make something out of your old shutters as well.
Look what I found at the side of the road for free. A bifold door with a shutter style upper portion. The first thing you need to figure out is how many shelves you want. You will need to measure from one side of the door to the other side to determine the front measurement of the shelf. Then cut a 45-degree angle to create the triangle shelf. Then it is time to paint the shelves. We used a sprayer, but you could use a paintbrush or a foam roller. Give a total of 2 coats per side of the shelf and then let them dry in between. Next, lay out how far your shelves are going to be apart. Then attach brackets to the doors and the under part of the shelves. Next, lift up the back door and attach the shelves on that side too. Look how great it turned out, and to think this door was just going to be thrown out. I love the spacing between each shelf because it will allow for bigger items to be displayed. First, I decorated it for spring with a birdhouse, books, a mini lamp, a candle, bird sculptures, and a pot of faux flowers. I styled it with feminine pieces like vintage books, cream and rose flowers, a flower crown, old sign, and a cute pillow. Lastly, I decorated it up coastal style with lanterns, a coastal print, a shell, books, a starfish serving dish, and a basket with greenery.
I grabbed this set of large house shutters from Facebook Marketplace, and here's how I turned them into something both beautiful and functional. I cut them in half, removed the nails, cleaned them, although I did like the rustic look, so I decided not to paint them. I screwed them together with the 2 taller pieces at the back. I made sure to pre-drill with a drill bit, and then I secured them with 3 2-inch screws along each side. And I left both pieces open at the back so that I could easily add the boards for a shelf. And that's how I converted these old shutters into a shelf. So easy.
If you'd like to instantly enhance your home with an easy decorative idea, consider picking up an old stepladder. After getting an old wooden stepladder home, I'm giving it a light sweep to clean it off, then a light scuff sand to remove any rough areas. One could also paint it as well. However, I'm choosing to leave it as is to display its authentic finish. To add display stability, I'm attaching 2 large brackets to the top of the ladder. Each bracket is getting screwed to the top of the ladder, then it can be attached to a wall once positioned. I'm now lifting the ladder and placing it against my desired wall. Since I'm choosing to leave the entire ladder intact for future repurposed projects, I'm pulling both sets of legs against each other, then tying them together using a dark heavy twine on each side. I'm wrapping the twine around both legs several times, then trimming and knotting the twine together from the inside. Then unraveling each of the end cuts so they appear like they've been there forever. Reaching for a carpenter's level, I'm placing the level on one step, then adjusting the ladder position until the steps sit level. Repositioning the ladder will also self-adjust the secured top brackets. Now I'm shopping my own collections, gathering up some like-minded trinkets I'd like to display. Now I'm selecting a decorative hook and attaching it near the top of the ladder with screws. Next up, I'm choosing a scrap piece of wood that is closely toned to the ladder wood and cutting it to the length of a lower step using a miter saw. This extension is being placed on a ladder step, then is being attached with a screw from the underside. Moving over to all my group collections, I'm deciding where each piece will be displayed. Since I desire to display an antique picture I don't wish to permanently modify, I'm attaching a door pull to the underside of a ladder step so the picture frame can simply rest against it. This little hack makes the frame's placement adjustable as well. I'm attaching a clip-on light to the very top of the ladder for added ambiance when desired. To hide the light cord, I'm running it down one ladder leg, then weaving it in between a few screws to hold it in place. And now I'm loading up the ladder. A cozy blanket is being hung from a hook, then chosen collections are being placed on each step where desired. Some items are getting stacked to create more height, so all the ladder spaces get filled up more so. And the end result is a beautifully curated collection of all my favorite things to look at with added side table perks. I love how the ladder adds height, allowing for plenty of mini shelves to store all my favorite things. It's said that to fully love your home, that you should display all the things you love to look at, and this ladder shelf certainly does it for me. Plus, the added shelf gives more space for my coffee and creates a deeper shelf to display something larger. Then turn on the light and you have extra ambiance that will really be appreciated in the evenings. An adjustable light that simply clips on is an easy add. It can be positioned to either display your collections or twisted to the side if you decide to do some reading or writing. This ladder shelf could also be used to hang pictures or showcase all your favorite reading books. You get to choose.
I wanted to add some visual interest to this small corner of my room. I happen to have some leftover 1x2 brick molding, which I had used for a different project. I made sure to cut my pieces in 3 different lengths. One was 5.5 inches, then 8.5 inches, and the largest size was 11.5 inches. Once I had my pieces cut, I gave them a quick coat of paint and made sure to paint the edges because those looked raw and brown from cutting them. When they were dry, I laid them out on the floor and played around with patterns and designs because I wanted my final design to look somewhat random and to have varying lengths of board along the wall. Once I was happy with my design, I stacked up my pieces and I started adding them to the wall itself. You can add liquid nails to the back of your pieces and then use a nail gun to put them in place, but I just went ahead and used the nail gun straight away. I attached the pieces to the right side of my corner first, putting the pieces all the way up against the wall. I then created a spacer using the exact same block and just angled it on its side instead of flat. I used the spacer so that I could have even spacing between my accent wall pieces. Once the accent pieces were on the wall, I then needed to cover up the holes left by the brad nailer. Once that paintable caulking was dry, I added a little more touch-up paint to make sure that everything looked nice and fresh. I love the way these little accent trim pieces give some life to a wall space that would otherwise be unusable because of its size. I love the versatility. You could make this as tall as you want, have it go from the ceiling all the way to the floor, or make it as small as you want to just be the same size as your window. I hope this inspired you to use your leftover scraps in a creative way and perhaps build a variable height accent wall like this one.